welcome back to my channel. So today I want to share my alocasia collection with you. Right now I have 9 alocasias that I want to kind of show you and give you my basic care and thoughts on them. And I'll be honest, for a long time I was really afraid to own any alocasias. I thought they were going to be so difficult, I would just kill them. And honestly, this whole mindset came from owning the Alocasia poly, which I have one now. I killed 2 previously, and what's weird to me is this one I can find commonly in like Lowe's and Home Depot, but for me, this is the hardest Alocasia I own. This one is, I don't want to say temperamental, but it doesn't do a whole lot. So the leaves, you'll end up losing them quicker than they come in. And let me just show you the pot that it's in. This is a TJ Maxx pot, and this is my Alocasia poly, or Amazonica, I think. So it came with this leaf and this leaf. Sorry, Jordan just stopped in. This is the only new leaf it's put out for me, and it took me, like 6 months. I got it in, I think September, August or September, and it just kept these 2 leaves for the entire time. Finally, it put out this new one. So I'm kind of wondering if that is what dormancy is, because in my mind, I was picturing when people say they go dormant that the whole plant's going to lose all its leaves and you're just going to have an empty pot. In my mind, that's what I was thinking. So to me, maybe the dormancy thing just means that it's kind of going to decline, like you can see some yellowing, but it doesn't drop them all. So that made me feel a little bit more adventurous to try more. This one is looking like it's going to put out a new leaf, so I'm just going to keep with the care I've been giving it. For all of them, I pretty much follow the same care. I don't let the soil ever dry out completely, and I also try not to saturate it either. So when it feels like they're dry, maybe like 2 inches down or so, like you stick your finger into about here, then I'll go ahead and water, because they never want to dry out completely. But you also don't want to keep them soggy. I feel like if you can get a handle on calatheas or marantas, that these are a plant that you should try. So I'm just going to go into probably my next pickiest one, and that is the Alocasia longilobata, the dragon's tooth Alocasia. And this one is in this pot here, another TJ Maxx find. So this guy, I think I may have had him in too high of light. And I'll show you these little leaves. You can see the ends of them. Some of them are kind of, browning. Now this one here does look like maybe the stem is starting to swell. I don't see anything definitively happening. But this one, what I thought was cool is one of the plant stores that I go to frequently posted a picture of this on their Instagram when they got it in. And as this gets bigger, this bottom part here gets 2 points. So it looks like a tooth, is why it's called dragon's tooth. This bottom part here will have actually 2 points instead of 1. Now I think I'm a long way off from that, but I'm excited to see if I can get there. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you guys is this guy here. This is the Alocasia. Now I think it's actually a michelina, but they commonly call it Frydeck. From what I've researched, Frydeck is actually the variegated version of it. But I mean, for the purpose of this video, Frydeck, michelina, it's in another one of those pots from IKEA, or not IKEA, TJ Maxx, sorry. I try and keep all my pots either white or terracotta or a mixture of the two. That way it kind of all flows together. And this is another plant here. This one, the way that it looks, you would think that it was difficult, but this one has been very easy for me. Like I said, I just keep it damp, and this one's actually probably about ready to be watered. You can see the top looks dry. But this one constantly puts out new leaves, and it really hasn't dropped many. I did stake it up some because it was starting to flop over my entire plant shelf. But this is the most recent leaf. You can see they're starting to get bigger. The veining is more prominent as compared to the first leaves it came with. And this is one that I think you can find pretty affordably. I think I paid $30 on Etsy for this one. And there is a new leaf coming out here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but this last stem is kind of swollen. So pretty soon we will have a new leaf. So that's one that I would recommend. If you're just starting out with alocasia, I wouldn't recommend the poly and the Dragon's Tooth one I've only had for 2 months or so, but I also haven't seen it do much, so I wouldn't recommend that. Start out with something like a Frydeck or one of these little jewel alocasias I'll show you next, because these all seem to grow really well. And the next one is my Alocasia Maharani, and you may have seen this in my plants of the month for June. So this guy is in an IKEA pot, and this is my favorite type of pot for my plants. I just couldn't afford to buy like a ton of these, so slowly I'm swapping them over. I like these because you can see when the soil is dry and feel it too, as opposed to just feeling it and kind of like wondering. So like I can get an idea, the bottom is darker, it's still wet. But anyways, this guy constantly puts out new leaves. I got it with, I believe, this leaf and this leaf, which you can see are starting to yellow. This one here is yellowing because as it gets bigger, this bulb at the bottom swells and it breaks through the leaves. So that is how I'm losing this one. This one's probably just aging. This was the first leaf it unfurled for me, and this is my bad here. I tried to help it out because I thought it was going to be stuck, and I ruined it. So don't help your alocasia leaf get out. Just let it do its own thing. Learn from my mistakes. But this is the next most recent leaf it has put out, and that one is gorgeous. And like I said in the last video, these feel like cardboard. Like, these just feel so neat. We're getting a new leaf here. I have got 2 flowers here, and by the time you see this video, they may have actually opened. I'm gonna try and pollinate them and see what happens. This one also put out pups, so I've got this one here starting to grow. That one there is actually opening the leaf, and then there's a couple more here that I don't know if they're gonna do anything, but they did pop out of the soil. So this is a really good one. Actually, I would recommend this. It looks exotic, you know. It looks like one of those ones that you're not going to be able to take care of. But for me, it's been pretty easy. I just don't let them dry out completely. Another one that is a jewel alocasia along the same lines is the Black Velvet. And this one is also in an IKEA pot. But I just love this one. The color of these leaves, another one with like a cardboard textured leaf. They're so pretty. Like, there's not even words for this plant. So it came with, I think 2, maybe 3 leaves. This is another one where this leaf here, you can see that the base is swelling so much that it's busting the leaf off. So I am going to end up losing that leaf. But we've got this one. This is the most recent, and it's putting out another one. Same as the Maharani. This one kind of seems to put out a new leaf as soon as the old one opens, so it's constantly growing for me. And I mean, these colors, they're just, it's gorgeous. And then the lighting that I use for these, I have these guys, it's a southeastern window, and I have a shelf at window level, and I have a shelf a little bit below it, where the light still shines, but it's a little filtered. They're on that shelf, and they also have a grow light for a little bit more light. So they are getting bright light. They're not a low light plant. I wouldn't put them in scorching sun because I think then they would definitely burn. Like I said with the little Dragon's Tooth one here, this one I do believe got a little too much sun. But for the most part, they like bright light. It helps them hold on to more leaves. It's not like, I also had heard before or read before, pretty much, you know, like every time you get a new leaf, you lose an old one. But if you give them enough light, they actually hold on to the leaves pretty well. And then the next little one I'm going to show you, I believe this falls into the Jewel Alocasia title too, is the Silver Dragon. This one here is in another TJ Maxx pot. And I'm going to take this guy out so I can show you. So let's see. He started out with those 2 smaller leaves. This was my next leaf, I believe. This one here is probably my prettiest leaf. This one here has hardened off, and you can start to see like it's darker in the veins. And this one here is still getting there. Now this plant, I don't know whether it's a characteristic of the plant or whether it's my lighting situation, but all the new leaves come out this yellowy color. And you can still see here, like on this one that's newest, it's still got some yellow. And then as it hardens off, the yellow fades away. So I don't know if that's a characteristic of the plant or if it's a result of the lighting I'm giving it. Maybe it's too much for this guy. But I don't know, the other leaves seem to be doing well, so I'm going to kind of keep it like it is and just see. But this is another one that is kind of like an exotic looking plant that I would call or characterize as easy to care for, as long as you don't let it dry out, you give it good light. This one is constantly growing, not dropping a whole bunch of leaves. Okay, I have 2 more little ones, and then I have 1 big one that I've got to take you to because I can't bring it here. So this next one is in a Walmart pot. This is a Walmart pot, and this is the Alocasia Louderbackiana. And sometimes it's called the purple sword. So this guy just has really long sword-shaped leaves. It's got a little bit of like serrated edges. Just a really pretty one. And I think this one has the potential to get very large. So for now, I have it inside, but if it gets too big, it'll have to be kind of like an outdoor plant or a floor plant type thing. But let's see, I think it's only got 2 of its original leaves. So this one was original and that one was original. All these 3 here are the new ones that I've gotten since I've brought it home. And it is starting to grow a new one. This here is the most recent leaf. You can see there's swelling on the stem. A new leaf will be coming. This one grows pretty regular for me too. And this one I think was an affordable one. This one was only $17.99, so this is another one that if you like kind of like a long serrated leaf shape, this is a good option. And then the last small one I have to show you guys is the Alocasia Cuprea, and I liked this one because of the leaves and the color. So let me show you the pot first, and I think this is Marshall's. Nope, it's another TJ Maxx. I shop at TJ Maxx way too much. So anyways, here is the Alocasia Cuprea. And I do not know if this is going to show up on camera very well. So it came with this leaf and it came with this leaf. And these Cuprea, I think, is Latin for like copper or coppery. These have like a coppery sheen. I'm kind of trying to move it here so you can maybe see it. But it catches the light sometimes and it's just so like dimensional and neat looking. And this one is putting out a new leaf. I'm going to show you that next. And these will become kind of ridged like abs. You can see this one's getting a little more of the characteristic shape. It'll darken as it hardens off and it'll be more of that kind of like shimmery copper color. This one is a little bit more expensive than the others. I think I did pay, like $60 for this. I got it on Etsy. But this one I'm not having any issues with growing it either. It does grow slower than some of the other ones. But, you know, it's definitely a plant that I think that is manageable. And now I'm going to take you guys in my living room. I am going to show you my Alocasia Regal Shields. This was the first Alocasia I managed to keep alive for an extended period. So let's go look at him. Okay, so here we are in the living room. That is my Regal Shields. And I picked this up at Home Depot in that same size pot. It had pretty big leaves. I mean, this I think is the oldest leaf right now that I have. So they were all about that size. Probably a year and a half ago. And this one is constantly growing. You can see right now it's got got 6 leaves total. And the most recent one is this guy here. He still hasn't hardened off, so I'm not going to touch him much. But like just to give you an idea, I mean, this is how big we are talking. And what I've got going on here, that is my plants covered up because it got into 40 just last night. It's the end of June and it's in the 40s and it's crazy. But anyways, this window here, southeast. This window here would be like almost south that way, so it's kind of like southwest. It's in between the two. There is a roof here, so this light doesn't get much light. And then I've got a grow light here, which kind of just puts some more ambient light over everything in this corner. But this plant, to me, so easy to take care of. I just make sure that it doesn't dry out. I don't let it dry out. And like I said, all these alocasias, except for the dragon's tooth and the poly, have been very easy. So if you're thinking about it and you're scared like I was, just go ahead and try. Okay, now lastly, before I end this video, I do want to just touch on pest control with these guys real quick. So I know that they get a bad rep for being spider mite magnets and things, and I have had spider mites on the Regal Shield. When I first brought that home, it had spider mites and I'm pretty sure a few thrips. So I treated it with a systemic and Captain Jack's dead bug, and I haven't had any issues since. But that's because I do regular pest prevention on these guys. I feel like it's easier to prevent an issue than to deal with some kind of a major outbreak. So what I do when I water them, which is, I don't know, maybe once a week or so, they, you know, because I like to keep them damp, I will take them to the sink. I will let the water run through, and while they're dripping dry, I will just go ahead and I'll check all the leaves. Check the backs, check the fronts, and then that's what I do. And then a few times a month, maybe once or twice a month, when I'm feeling kind of like extra planty, I will go ahead and I'll spray all the leaves down and wipe them off with a soft microfiber cloth just to give them a little bit of extra, you know, protection. And then I do also use a systemic, which will help with things like thrips. It will not prevent spider mites, but things like thrips and especially fungus gnats, because the soil's not going to dry out completely. So I use a systemic, and I also just manually check them, and I haven't had a ton of issues. Fingers crossed that this doesn't jinx me. But that's my Alocasia collection, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment box below, and I will try and get back to you. And don't be scared to try an Alocasia. See you guys in my next video.